Detective Alex Parker was well known for his sharp instincts and no-nonsense attitude. He had been solving tough cases for years and was considered one of the best detectives in the city. But beneath his tough exterior, Alex carried a deep loneliness. He had spent most of his life focused on his career, leaving little room for personal relationships. One rainy evening, Alex found himself at a local coffee shop, taking a break from a particularly stressful case involving a drug cartel. He noticed a woman sitting at the counter, her posture confident yet graceful. She was busy reading some documents, and her intense focus piqued his interest. Her name was Emily, a skilled lawyer who had recently joined a high-profile law firm in the city. Known for her brilliant arguments and dedication to her clients, Emily was making waves in the legal world. But like Alex, she was often buried in her work, leaving little time for a personal life. Alex approached the counter to order a coffee, and their eyes met. A small smile formed on Emily's lips as she noticed his drenched clothes. "Rough day?" she asked, her voice light yet understanding. "You could say that," Alex replied with a tired smile. "Looks like you're having a busy one too." He gestured toward the stack of papers she was reviewing. Emily chuckled. "Yeah, just another day fighting for justice," she said with a playful tone. They both laughed, and for a moment, the stress of their jobs seemed to melt away. They chatted for a while, sharing stories about their hectic work lives. Despite being from different professions, they found a surprising connection in their shared dedication to justice. As they talked, the rain poured outside, casting a serene ambiance in the cafe. It felt as if the world had paused, allowing this unexpected connection to bloom. Alex found himself drawn to Emily's intelligence and wit, while Emily was captivated by Alex's grounded and thoughtful nature. Eventually, they exchanged numbers. "Maybe we can grab coffee again sometime, when it's not raining," Alex suggested, a hopeful smile on his face. "I'd like that," Emily replied, her eyes sparkling with a hint of excitement. They parted ways, but something had changed for both of them. It had been a long time since Alex had felt this kind of spark with someone. For Emily, meeting Alex felt like a breath of fresh air, a rare, unexpected connection in the middle of her chaotic life. Little did they know, this simple coffee shop encounter would set off a chain of events that would soon entangle their professional and personal lives in ways neither of them could have anticipated. Secrets from their past and present cases would begin to surface, threatening to destroy the bond they were starting to build. As Alex walked back to his car, he couldn't shake the feeling that meeting Emily was more than just a random occurrence. He felt a mix of excitement and uncertainty. In his line of work, he knew better than anyone that coincidences often hid deeper truths. And as it turned out, Emily was about to become much more involved in his world than either of them could have imagined. The rain continued to fall, washing away the dirt of the city streets. But it couldn't cleanse the darkness lurking in the corners of their lives. Their chance encounter was just the beginning of a story filled with secrets, betrayal, and a love that would be tested by the harsh reality of their intertwined fates. The days following their chance encounter flew by for both Alex and Emily. They had exchanged a few texts, keeping the conversation casual, yet both felt an undeniable pull towards one another. Finally, they decided to meet for dinner at a quiet restaurant downtown. Alex arrived early, something unusual for him. He felt a mix of excitement and nervousness, a rare feeling for a detective who had faced far more intense situations. When Emily entered, dressed in a simple yet elegant outfit, her confidence shone brightly, making Alex smile despite himself. They settled into their seats, ordered food, and started talking. Initially, the conversation revolved around their careers. Emily spoke passionately about her latest case, defending a whistleblower who had exposed corruption at a large corporation. Her eyes lit up as she explained her stance. "I believe in fighting for justice," Emily said. "But it's not always clear who the bad guys are, The line is often blurred. Alex nodded, resonating deeply with her words. "You're right," he agreed. "In my experience, things are never as they seem on the surface. The truth is always layered with hidden motives and secrets." Emily leaned in, intrigued. "You must have seen a lot of that in your line of work." "More than I'd like to admit," Alex replied with a hint of sadness. "There's always more to the story." The conversation gradually shifted from work to their personal lives. Alex opened up about the challenges of being a detective, the long hours, the loneliness, and how difficult it was to form meaningful connections. Emily, in turn, shared her own struggles. Despite being surrounded by people daily, she often felt isolated. "It's ironic, isn't it?" Emily mused. "We're always around people, but finding someone who truly understands you feels almost impossible." "Yeah," Alex agreed, looking at her intently. "But tonight, I feel like we've found that connection." They shared a smile, a moment of quiet understanding passing between them. The chemistry was palpable, but there was also an underlying tension, something unspoken, yet heavy in the air. After dinner, Alex walked Emily to her car. They lingered under the glow of the streetlights, neither wanting the night to end. "I had a great time tonight," Alex said softly. "Me too," Emily replied, her eyes sparkling. "This was unexpected, but nice." Emily's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and her expression shifted to concern. "I'm sorry I have to go," she said, looking genuinely regretful. "It's urgent, about my case." Alex nodded, understanding but feeling a pang of worry. "Take care," he said. Alex watched her car disappear into the night. An uneasy feeling settled in his gut. He couldn't shake the sense that there was more to Emily than she was revealing. And little did he know, their paths were about to cross in unexpected ways, as her case would soon collide with his own investigation. What started as a simple dinner date was turning into something much deeper and more complicated. The following week, Alex couldn't shake the thoughts of Emily from his mind. Despite their brief connection, a nagging feeling lingered in the back of his head. He found himself replaying their conversation, especially the moment when she abruptly left. There was something about her that felt mysterious, almost as if she were hiding a part of herself. At work, Alex was swamped with an ongoing investigation, a case involving a high-profile businessman accused of money laundering. As he reviewed the documents on his desk, something caught his eye. It was a familiar name in the list of legal representatives, Emily Ross. His heart skipped a beat. "What are the odds?" Alex muttered to himself. He hadn't known that Emily was involved in the same case. Curiosity got the best of him, and he decided to dig deeper. He opened his laptop, accessing the legal database. Scanning through the case files, he found that Emily was indeed representing the whistleblower who had exposed the businessman's illegal activities. The businessman, Marcus King, was a powerful figure in the city, known for his connections and influence. He had a reputation for using dirty tactics to silence anyone who posed a threat to his empire. The whistleblower's testimony had thrown his entire operation into chaos, and it seemed like Emily was in the middle of a legal storm. Later that evening, Alex received a call from his partner, Detective Miller. "Hey, we got a lead on the King case," Miller said. "There's a meeting tonight with some of his associates. I'm thinking we should check it out." Alex agreed and made his way to the rendezvous point, a dimly lit warehouse near the docks. As they approached the building, they saw a group of men standing outside, speaking in hushed tones. Alex and Miller parked the car at a safe distance, observing from the shadows. One of the men stepped into the light, and Alex's breath hitched. It was Marcus King himself. But what surprised him even more was when another figure emerged from the building, joining King. It was Emily. Alex's heart sank. What was she doing here? He watched as she and King exchanged a few words. Their conversation seemed tense, with Emily looking defiant while King's expression was cold and calculating. Miller, noticing Alex's shocked expression, nudged him. "You recognize her?" Alex nodded slowly. "That's Emily Ross. She's the lawyer defending the whistleblower in this case." Miller frowned. "Why would she be meeting with King then? This doesn't add up." Confusion swirled in Alex's mind. He couldn't understand why Emily would be involved with someone like King. The meeting was brief, and soon after, Emily walked away, getting into her car and driving off. Alex's instincts screamed that something was off. After the men dispersed, Alex and Miller returned to their car. "We need to find out what's going on," Miller said, starting the engine. "This changes everything." Alex remained silent, deep in thought. His feelings for Emily were conflicted with his duty as a detective. He knew he needed answers, but feared what he might uncover. The woman he had begun to trust and feel a connection with was somehow linked to the very case he was trying to solve. As they drove away from the docks, Alex made a decision. He needed to confront Emily, to find out the truth behind her involvement with Marcus King. Was she just another pawn in King's game, or was there something more sinister at play? One thing was certain. The lines between personal and professional were blurring, and Alex was about to step into a world of betrayal and secrets. Alex couldn't shake off the image of Emily and Marcus King together. He knew he had to confront her, but he needed to tread carefully. If Emily was involved in something dangerous, barging in without a plan could put them both at risk. He decided to reach out. Taking a deep breath, Alex dialed her number. The phone rang a few times before she answered. "Hello?" Emily's voice was hesitant. "Emily, it's Alex," he said. "We need to talk. Can we meet?" There was a long pause on the other end. "Sure," she finally replied. "Where?" "There's a small cafe on Birch Street. It's quiet and safe," Alex suggested. "Okay, I'll be there in an hour," Emily agreed before hanging up. Alex arrived early, taking a seat in a corner where he could observe the entrance. His mind raced with questions. He needed to know the truth about her connection to Marcus King. Was she being coerced? Or was she a willing participant in something far more sinister? When Emily walked in, she looked different. Tense, as if she knew the weight of this conversation. She sat across from Alex, avoiding direct eye contact. "You wanted to talk," she said, her voice soft but guarded. Alex leaned in, lowering his voice. "I saw you last night, Emily, at the docks. You were with Marcus King." Her face turned pale, and she glanced around as if checking to see if anyone was watching them. "You were there?" she whispered, eyes wide. "Yes," Alex confirmed. "And I need to know what's going on. You're supposed to be defending a whistleblower who's going against King. So why are you meeting with him?" Emily took a deep breath, struggling to find the right words. "It's complicated, Alex." "Then make it simple for me," Alex said firmly. "Are you working with him?" "No!" she exclaimed, a bit too loudly. She quickly lowered her voice. "I'm not working with him. It's the opposite." Alex frowned. "Then why were you there?" Emily sighed, looking defeated. "Marcus King approached me last week. He knows about my case against him and wanted to make a deal. He offered me money to drop the case, to convince my client to back off. He threatened me when I refused." "So, you met him alone at the docks? Do you have any idea how dangerous that was?" Alex asked, his concern evident. "I didn't have a choice," Emily replied, her voice shaking. "He said if I didn't meet him, he'd come after me and my family." Alex's eyes softened. He reached out, taking her hand. "Emily, you should have told someone. King is dangerous. If he's threatened you, we can help. But you have to be honest with me." Tears welled up in her eyes. "I'm scared, Alex. He's powerful, and I've already seen what he's capable of, but I want to bring him down. I can't let him get away with everything he's done." Alex squeezed her hand. "You're not alone in this. I'll protect you. We'll take him down together, but you need to trust me." Emily nodded, wiping away her tears. "I trust you, Alex." For the first time, she seemed genuinely relieved, like a weight had been lifted off her shoulders. Alex knew the road ahead would be dangerous, but now, with Emily by his side, they had a chance to expose King's crimes and bring him to justice. The fight was just beginning, and Alex was ready to face whatever came next. The days following their conversation at the cafe were tense. Emily and Alex decided to work together, determined to gather evidence against Marcus King. They needed solid proof to expose his illegal activities and to protect themselves from any retaliation. Emily dug deep into her files, searching for anything that could link King to criminal actions. Meanwhile, Alex used his contacts from his former journalism days to find people who might be willing to speak out against King. The more they uncovered, the more dangerous the situation became. One evening, Emily rushed over to Alex's apartment, her face pale. "You need to see this," she said, handing him a stack of documents. Alex flipped through the papers, his eyes widening. "These are financial records," he muttered. "King has been laundering money through shell companies. And look at these names. Politicians, business owners, they're all connected to him." Emily nodded. "He's built an entire network of corruption. I found this while searching through some old case files. But that's not all. I overheard a conversation between two of King's men today. They're planning something big, something involving a high-profile client." Alex's expression turned serious. "Do you know what it is?" She shook her head. "No, but I managed to record part of their conversation. They mentioned something about an art deal. It sounded like a front for something else, maybe another illegal transaction." "An art deal?" Alex echoed. "Wait a minute. I remember hearing about an upcoming private auction at Julian's Art Museum. It's known for hosting events for the elite. If King is using it as a front, this could be our chance to catch him in the act." Emily's eyes lit up. "You're right. We need to get into that auction. It might be our only chance to gather concrete evidence against him." Alex nodded. "We'll need to be careful. King will have his men there and security will be tight. We need a plan to blend in without drawing attention." Emily hesitated for a moment before speaking. "I have a friend who works at the museum. She might be able to get us in as part of the event staff. It's risky, but it's our best shot." "Let's do it," Alex agreed. "But we need to be prepared. We don't know what we might encounter inside." The following week, Emily reached out to her contact at the museum. The friend, a curator named Hannah, agreed to help, but only after Emily convinced her that they were trying to expose King's crimes. Hannah was reluctant, but eventually provided them with staff passes for the auction night. The plan was simple. Emily would act as a server, blending in with the catering team, while Alex posed as a security guard to keep an eye on King's movements. It was a risky move, but they were out of options. If they failed to gather the evidence, King would continue his reign of crime, and Emily would remain in constant danger. As the night of the auction approached, the tension between them grew. They knew the stakes were high. If they succeeded, they could finally expose Marcus King's empire of corruption. But if they were caught, it could be the end for both of them. With their plans set, they prepared themselves for the most dangerous night of their lives. The Grand Hall of Julian's Art Museum was filled with the city's elite, dressed in their finest. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, casting a shimmering glow over the collection of rare paintings and sculptures on display. It was a perfect cover for Marcus King's illicit dealings. Emily and Alex arrived separately, each blending into their assigned roles. Emily joined the catering team. Her heart raced as she scanned the room, searching for King. She spotted him near a group of businessmen, laughing and sipping his drink. He appeared relaxed, completely unaware that the walls were closing in on him. Alex, his eyes constantly moving. He watched as King's men positioned themselves strategically around the hall. It was clear they were on high alert, guarding their boss. Alex took a deep breath and adjusted his earpiece, whispering to Emily, "I see King. He's by the statue near the entrance. Stay close, but don't draw attention." Emily nodded subtly. She moved closer. She kept her movements casual, but her mind was racing. If King noticed her, their cover would be blown. The auctioneer took the stage, calling for attention as the first piece was presented. As the bidding began, Emily caught a glimpse of King slipping away from the main room, followed closely by one of his bodyguards. "Alex, he's moving towards the back," Emily whispered urgently. "I see him," Alex replied. He discreetly followed King, staying out of sight. The museum's back hallways were quieter, with only a few staff members bustling about. Emily followed, her pulse quickening. She knew they were getting closer to the heart of King's operation. If they could catch him red-handed, it could be the proof they needed. In a dimly lit room behind the auction hall, King stood with a shady-looking man in a suit. Alex and Emily hid behind a large display case, close enough to hear snippets of their conversation. "This should cover the deal. The shipment will be sent out next week," the man in the suit said. King nodded, smiling darkly. "Perfect. Make sure there are no mistakes. We don't need any more attention after last month's fiasco." Emily glanced at Alex, her eyes wide. This was it. Proof of King's illegal deals. She pulled out her phone, discreetly recording the conversation. Suddenly, one of King's guards entered the room, looking alarmed. "Boss, there's a problem. Someone's asking questions about tonight's deal." King's expression turned dark. "Who?" Before the guard could respond, his eyes landed on the reflection of Emily's phone, in a nearby glass case. "There!" he shouted, drawing his gun. "Run!" Alex yelled, grabbing Emily's hand. They sprinted down the hallway, heartbeats pounding in their ears. They had the evidence they needed, but now they needed to get out alive, their footsteps echoing off the marble floors. Emily clutched her phone tightly, knowing it held the recording that could bring Marcus King down for good. "Where do we go?" Emily asked, her voice filled with panic. Alex glanced over his shoulder, seeing the guards gaining on them. He spotted an emergency exit sign up ahead and pointed. "This way!" They veered sharply, pushing through the heavy door and into a narrow stairwell. Alex led the way, taking the stairs two at a time. They could hear the sound of the door crashing open behind them, King's men in hot pursuit. As they reached the landing, Alex spotted a small window leading to the museum's rooftop. "Emily, up here!" he said, giving her a boost. Emily scrambled through the window, feeling the cool night air hit her face. She pulled herself up onto the flat rooftop, helping Alex through next. They both stood for a moment, catching their breath, the city lights sprawling out below them. "What now?" Emily asked, her eyes wide with fear. Alex scanned the rooftop, spotting a maintenance ladder on the far side. "We need to get down there and blend in with the crowd outside," he said. "If we can make it to my car, we'll have a chance." Emily turned and sprinted toward the edge of the rooftop, her heart pounding. She spotted a fire escape ladder just a few feet away. Without hesitation, she leapt, catching the ladder and swinging down to the next level. He didn't wait to see the outcome. Instead, he rushed to the ladder, climbing down as fast as he could. He could see Emily already on the ground. "Emily!" he shouted, catching her attention. She turned, relief flooding her face as she spotted him. Together, they pushed their way through the crowd, blending in as best they could. They reached Alex's car parked nearby, and he fumbled for the keys, hands shaking. As they jumped in, he glanced at Emily, who was still clutching the phone tightly. "Did you get it all?" he asked. Emily nodded, tears of relief streaming down her cheeks. Now, it was time to end this once and for all. Alex and Emily sped through the city. They both knew this was their last chance to bring justice for all the lives King had ruined. As they approached the police station, they pulled into the station's parking lot, They stepped out of the car and headed inside, greeted by Detective Harris, a stern-faced officer who had been working on King's case for years, but never had enough evidence to convict him. Harris had a reputation for being incorruptible, one of the few officers who hadn't been bought off by King. "What brings you in tonight?" Harris asked, his eyebrows raised as he noticed their bruised and battered appearances. "We have evidence that can bring down Marcus King," Emily said, holding up her phone. "A full confession and details of his operations." Harris's eyes widened. "Let's see it." Harris leaned back in his chair, a rare smile spreading across his face. "This is exactly what we needed." He turned to them, his expression a mix of gratitude and admiration. "You've done something incredible tonight. We'll issue an arrest warrant immediately." Just as they felt a wave of relief wash over them, the station door swung open and a group of officers rushed in. "Detective Harris, we've got reports of King's men approaching the area," one of them said urgently. Harris stood up, his face tense. "Looks like King isn't going down without a fight. Stay here. We'll handle this." Emily and Alex watched from the window as officers moved out, preparing to confront King's men. Minutes felt like hours as they waited. Then the tension broke as Harris re-entered the room, a triumphant look on his face. "We've got him," he said simply. "King has been arrested. His empire is finished." Emily let out a breath she didn't realize she was holding, tears welling up in her eyes. "It's finally over," she whispered. Alex wrapped an arm around her, pulling her close. "You did it, Emily. Your father would be proud." She looked up at him, smiling through her tears. "We did it together." They walked away from the station, leaving behind the darkness and stepping into a future filled with hope and endless possibilities.